Hey guys, this week I am back with a sweet recipe after having a savoury recipe last week. Since we've come into autumny wintry feels lately, I feel like banana bread is the perfect feel-good comfort food. This version is lower in sugar than your regular banana bread, so you could say it's a healthier option. So here are the 7 simple ingredients you'll need to make this banana bread. Ripe bananas are essential because they add a sweetness to the recipe without chucking in a whole bag of sugar. And the sugar that we will be using is coconut sugar, and that's purely just because it actually has some nutritional value as opposed to regular white sugar. And it also has a nice flavour to it. I used buckwheat flour here purely because it was what I had in my house, but you can use whatever flour you have. So here I'm just preheating the oven to 180 degrees and have it heating up while we prep all of our ingredients. So I'm going to grab a bowl first and peel my 4 ripe bananas and throw them in, and I'm going to mash them all up until they are a nice runny consistency. If you have loads of really ripe bananas to use up, this recipe is perfect. I know a lot of people hate really ripe bananas just to eat on their own, so if you throw them into this recipe, they are perfect because they'll give the recipe a nice sweetness, like I said before, without adding lots of extra unnecessary sugar. Okay, so after your bananas are nice and mashed, you need to separate 2 eggs and chuck in the egg yolks in on top of the bananas, and then you're going to save the egg whites for another time, which I used for my breakfast. So I didn't throw them in the bin or anything because I wouldn't want to waste any unnecessary food. So here I have my coconut oil, which is the next ingredient, and you're just going to put it into a bowl so that you can put it into the microwave and let it soften a little bit, just for about 10 to 15 seconds. It's just so it's easier to mix into the banana mix. So then take that out of the microwave, give it a quick stir, and add it in on top of your bananas and your egg yolks. Here I have some vanilla extract, which is optional, and I didn't include that at the beginning ingredient section because you don't have to add it, but I think it adds a nice flavour to the bread overall, so it's up to you. Next I'm throwing in the coconut sugar, which gives it a nice rich flavour, and then the buckwheat flour. Buckwheat flour, like I said, I had it in my kitchen at the time, so I said I'd throw that in instead of regular flour. But if you want to use regular flour, it's perfect as well. You'll just have a more light and fluffy consistency rather than a dense and moist consistency that this bread has. Also, buckwheat flour will make your recipe gluten-free, so if you prefer that, then stick to the buckwheat flour. The walnuts are another optional element to this recipe. I just think they add a really nice texture and flavour to the bread, so I threw them in, but you could always add in like chocolate chips or whatever you like instead, or just leave them out completely. It's all up to your own taste. So here I'm just greasing the loaf tin with a bit of coconut oil. I just put a little knob of coconut oil in and then threw it into the oven for a couple of seconds just to melt it, and then got some kitchen paper and smeared it all around the edges just so the banana bread won't stick to the tin, because that would be an absolute nightmare. And then I'm adding the mix all in on top of the loaf tin and try to get every last scrape out of it because you don't want to have any waste. So just use a spatula and get all the little bits off the edges, slap it into the loaf tin, and then you're going to spread it around just so it's a nice even shape on top. And then for the finishing touch, I'm just going to sprinkle a few chopped walnuts on top. They just add a little bit more texture on the top of the bread and they just look nice. So I threw them on top. So popping it into the oven now for about 20 minutes, setting the timer, and we're good to go. I actually ended up leaving this bread in for 25 minutes, so it depends on your oven, but if you just kind of press down on the center of the bread, it should be firm and not squidgy and soft, obviously. So this is how it should look, nice and golden brown on the outside. And we are done. I know this is one of my all-time favorites, so I really hope you like this recipe too. Please give my video a thumbs up if you do like it, and comment below if you try it out, because I always love to hear when you do try my recipes. I'll see you next week.